specific programs. The shell will look to find the programs it's going to execute, looking through how does the shell find the programs it's going to execute.
Looking in the path.
Exactly. So the environmental path contains the names of all those directories which could contain programs you should be able to start and run using the program name. If the name of the program is not found in any of those subdirectories, what is the result?
Fail. So
Yeah, it says file does not exist. So the program file doesn't exist. If you know that it exists in a specific directory which is not part of the path, you can give the path of the program yourself and then by that indicating to the shell. And one way we often do it is if the program is in the directory where we are actually standing, then we could indicate that to the shell by writing a find the program in this directory / then it will look in this directory. Yes. The normal way is that you enter the command and then parameters, which will typically be maybe some switches and then some file names. Very often that is how the shell looks like. ls -l and then maybe no file name, or maybe an A, which means list all files in directory A, or list all information about file A or whatever. So file name, switch, command. Yes. That's it, I think, about that. Now, what is standard in, standard out, standard error?
standard in is from the keyboard or
Yeah, I would say standard in is file descriptor 0. Standard out
this one.
is file descriptor 1, and standard error is file descriptor 2, because these three file handles are always accessible to any program. So when you run a program, it always have file handle 0, file handle 1, and file handle 2 available. And then we say, because they are always available, we say that they are standard input, they are standard output, and they are standard error. And if nothing has been done, this is associated with the keyboard, this is associated with the screen, and this is associated with the screen. But you can redirect them. How do you redirect standard in? If you want to read from a file which is not the keyboard, how would you do that? So you write a command, and you want to tell that command that it should not read its input from the keyboard, but it should read it from a file. How would you do that?
Isn't it the
So you would say, okay, don't read from the keyboard, but read from in file. So now it will read all its input from in file. And if you don't want it to print on the screen, then you redirect standard output from the screen to an out file, And where will the error messages go now?
On the screen.
They will go on the screen. So if you're not there, you can't read them. So if you want to be able to read the error messages, how would you do then? Put them in the file. How would you do that? You have a bit of a problem now, haven't you? That's why it's important to remember this thing, because what you want to redirect now is file handle 2. So that's the way you do it. So this is actually seen as 0. You don't have to write it, and this is actually seen as 1, but you don't have to write it. So if you just want standard output to be redirected, you just write this. But if you want standard error to be redirected, you have to say it's the standard error file I want to redirect. So now you can run this program without being present. It will read its data from in file. It will print its result to out file. And if there are any programs during the program execution, those errors will be written on error file. So you can come and go the next day to see the result of running the program and any error messages as well. Okay? And if this is a program running every day and you want to collect the output from every day, you don't do like this. You say, okay, I want to redirect output, but it should continue, it should add to an already existing out file. So this will still redirect standard output, but it will add to the end of an existing file. So if you want to keep your data for a longer period, you can do it like that. So that's redirection. And pipes, if we want to communicate between two programs, use a pipe. And if you need more programs to communicate, you can make the pipe as long as you want. So every program will enter data through the pipe. This will read from the pipe, read output to the pipe. So here you redirect standard output from this program to the pipe. Here you redirect standard input for this program to this pipe, and standard output from the program is redirected to this pipe, and so on. So the data will flow through the pipe down to the last program at the end of the pipe, which will then do the final handling of the data. So you can actually make quite a complex application by running a series of communicating programs. Yeah. Questions? Okay. Now I wrote like this. Some commands are built-in commands. What are built-in commands? Well, if you try to do this with ls, you will get information saying bin ls, saying the ls you execute is found in bin. What will happen if you say this, or if you say oh, this is the last one is probably not a built-in. That's a program. What will happen if you say this? Get no answer, because CD is not found anywhere in the file system. Can your shell do a CD? So it's a built-in command. Why is it built-in? How does the shell execute programs?
Because it's only virtual that you are in a folder, you're never in a folder.
No, that's not the reason actually. How does the shell execute programs?
You think about the fork?
So if you want to do ls, you will fork a program and then the child will execute the ls command. Your parent shell will not be affected. It will do nothing. It will just wait until the child has executed the ls. So what if you did the cd in a child? Well, then the child would change directory and exit. So what about the parent? Well, it will still be in the good old directory. So you want your parent process to change directory. So you have to have that program as a built-in function in the shell, so that when you do a cd, you call a function which will actually switch your current location to a new location. So you can't have a child changing the directory and then exit. That would not be useful. And a number of commands like that are built-in commands because you want